There is great news for the playoff-starved Broncos as all the lights are changing from red to green before our very eyes, and a deep playoff push is on the horizon. So let's go all gas, no brakes as we break down the Broncos' chances against the Los Angeles Chargers this week, what the great news is, and why I think that is going to lead us to the playoffs and beyond. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ben. I break down all things Denver sports. And awesomely enough, we're breaking down a playoff-bound Broncos team. So let's dive in to the good news, and there is a ton of it. So we will try to keep this as quick as possible. So absolute must-win game. We have a division game. We know division games count for two. We know that the Broncos actually have never won a game in SoFi Stadium before, that new stadium in Los Angeles. Obviously, we remember the Christmas Day massacre last year that was just embarrassing and ruined my Christmas. Luckily, it was sweet baby Jesus' birthday, and you can't really ruin that. But for the rest of it, that was horrible. We lost to Baker Mayfield. Remember, he'd never even practiced with that team, and somehow he came in and embarrassed Hackett, which led later to his firing and all that kind of stuff. But then we've also lost our bouts to the Chargers in that stadium, despite the fact that, as Sean Payton pointed out, there's far more orange and blue in that stadium than there is Charger baby blue. So that is great. So we want Sean Payton to break that streak. He's already broken so many streaks, and this losing streak in SoFi is about to break on Sunday. The first reason I think this losing streak is going to break is our injury report couldn't be cleaner. It is ridiculous how healthy we are. And I know this is pure IKEA wood, so I can knock on it and it's sturdy, but love this quote from Troy Rank. He's hilarious that typically in December, our injury list is as long as the Dead Sea Scrolls, and we had every single person who was nicked up, dinged up, hurt possibly, practice fully, and not even appear on the injury report for a lot of those guys. There were people, I was worried we had Meinertz get dinged up in that game. I was afraid he was going out for the season maybe, and he isn't even on the injury report because he wasn't even limited in past days. And probably the absolute best news is that our man Patrick Surtain II was a full go in practice, and not only a full go. If you go back and watch his press conference, which I can link to in the show notes, you can see him say he is eager to take on the challenge, and a challenge indeed. And truly the only real thing to worry about against this Chargers offense is their absolute stud wide receiver, Keenan Allen, and we're going to get to that matchup in a second. Pat Surtain has stepped up in the past like he did with Devontae Adams and the Raiders and said, wherever that guy goes, move me there, Vance. Let me eat. Trust me to do that. And if you take a look at the chances for the Chargers, they have this good receiver, Josh Palmer, also injured, probably not gonna play, and so their next leading option is a tight end. And other than that, you have Austin Eckler, and you have Keenan Allen, who is probably the most ball dominant receiver. We know that Russ throws to Sutton all the time, but they've thrown the ball so much to Keenan Allen. And like a lot of people say, if we can stop Keenan Allen, then we can stop this Chargers offense. And I believe we are totally, totally up to the task. I think you've just seen so many times this year that if there's only one thing we have to do, we are going to do it. And I think as a lot of people in Broncos Country are afraid, the biggest challenge on the defensive end is the matchup with Khalil Mack. We saw how much pressure they were able to put on Russ last week, that those 3 interceptions were all because of Russ getting his pocket really kind of eaten up and chewed up, and he got one ball batted, one of them rushed. The other one, he dodged a sack. And so a lot of people are worried. Khalil Mack is leading the league in sacks right now. But the great news is, when you never want to win because another team loses, but the great news is Joey Bosa is out, which means their only person that we got to stop on the line is Khalil Mack, and he is leading the league in sacks, and I know what it's like to have Khalil Mack ruin a game for the Broncos. I remember watching that 5-sack game and had nightmares about Khalil Mack, but the fact is, the Broncos have stopped one person at it before, and that was looking at the game against the Browns and Myles Garrett, that if all we have to do is lock down one person, especially when they're an edge rusher like Khalil, knowing, hey, let's just keep a tight end there to chip. Let's put P. Ryan back there more often than not so that he is there he's our best running back for picking up blocks. And if we are chipping him, if we're always making sure that he's double teamed anytime that ball is snapped, I feel very, very good about the Broncos' chances. So the other reason I just feel fantastic about this game is looking at how this matches up. So this is ESPN stats, and I filtered it by who is the worst team against the throw. And if you look at the worst team against the throw in the entire NFL, number 2 is the team we're about to go eat and feast on, and that's the Chargers. This is a game in December, but in a warm climate. Russell Wilson is going to bounce back. I think he has heard all the hate and all the doubt and all the slander, and he's about to go bump up that list. He's going to be 17th all-time leading NFL passer. He's going to pass Dan Fouts with just one throw, maybe a couple throws there, and I feel really good that he's about to go against a team that every week lets up about 265 yards in the air, and I just feel very, very good about that, especially because we know that all we have to do is block for Khalil Mack, and he's going to have a clean pocket and all the time in the world to dink and dunk and pick up opening. So the other thing that's kind of good news is just looking here at their offense seems super formidable, like on Madden, but I think our opinion of Herbert is too shaped on just 1 or 2 good years. Herbert has not been this terrifying quarterback that I think we were afraid of last offseason. I remember just looking at Mahomes and Herbert and Carr in our division before he left and thinking, how are we ever going to win a game? Herbert is the next Josh Allen, and Herbert has not been that. Really, if you look at how many yards he throws for a game, he's at about 4,000 yards. Russell Wilson's not far behind him, right? If you really look, Herbert's averaging 338 yards a game. Russell Wilson, 299. That's 2 or 3 completions more than Russell Wilson, despite the fact that I think he has way more opportunities to throw the ball than Sean Payton is giving Russ. And I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying Herbert is throwing the ball so much more than Russ and barely has more yards than him. So I just, StatMuse is an awesome site. Y'all should check it out. But you can basically uses artificial intelligence to do some of this research for you. So if you look at their rating, so the first thing that just jumps off the page is looking that Russell Wilson is leading him in this stat, and then just seeing that he is not far behind in yards per game, and then his passer rating is much higher than Herbert's as well. So not afraid of their offense, and I'm actually pretty pumped for our offense to have a chance to go against this Chargers team. The other reason I just feel insanely good, insanely confident is that we are about to go up against they are about to face their former offensive coordinator with Joe Lombardi, who's now sporting the orange and blue, which is fantastic news. I think you look at that game against the Jets, one of the games that I would love to go back and play 10 times, because I think if we play the Jets 10 times, we win 9 of them. But all of that stuff with Sean Payton saying mean things about Nathaniel Hackett just had that entire team turned up a level that you don't see often. Like, you don't see them put that kind of effort together. You just saw them really playing for their coach, which is admirable. But the fact is, because Hackett had that behind-the-scenes peek at our offense all year, he knew exactly how to stop Courtland Sutton, exactly how to get in Jerry Jeudy's head, exactly what Russ didn't like to do, and was able to feed that information into their defensive coordinator all week. That's exactly what Joe Lombardi has been doing this week as we prepare for the Los Angeles Chargers. So I think that gives us the inside look at what we need. This is about to break a streak. That streak is the streak that we have gone with losing games in SoFi, the streak of splitting games with the Chargers over the past couple of years. And most importantly, this is going to push us forward to break that streak of missing the playoffs, because when we beat the Chargers on Sunday, our chances go from 20% to 40% of making the playoffs. But then what it does even further is that I think this is going to set up over a whole cascade. It is going to lead to pressure in Los Angeles. You could see them firing their coach, or really just starting to jump ship and planning that vacation to Cancun in the offseason, because this will essentially eliminate them from the playoffs. So must-win game on Sunday. I feel fantastic about it. I hope you do too, Broncos Country. Got a lot more content coming this week. Thanks for being here for the ride in Broncos Country. Let's ride.